Hi guys, welcome to Science with Kanash. Today I'll be explaining Igcse Physics, Topic 1, Physical Quantities and Measurement Techniques. This is the part of General Physics and this is the first topic in General Physics. So let's start. Measuring distance and volume. Rulers are used to measure small distances of a few centimeters, and they can also measure to the nearest millimeter. When measuring very small distances, which are less than a millimeter, we use a micrometer, and it is the most appropriate instrument to measure such distances. This can include the thickness of a paper, can be found out using a micrometer. Measuring cylinders can be used to measure the volume of liquids or by measuring the volume of an irregular shape. So we can measure the volume of an irregular shape by first measuring the volume of the liquid, and then we add the irregular object into the liquid, and then we check the change in the volume, and that change in volume is going to be the volume of the irregular shape. Then stop clocks and stopwatches can be used to measure the time intervals. Next. Multiple readings. So when you have to measure very small quantities, a very small number, it's very difficult to get accurate results. So what you can do, you can take the measurement for a large number and then divide it. So for example, when you have to measure the thickness of a sheet of paper, now thickness of a sheet of paper is going to be very small, and which means you may not get accurate results. So what you can do, you can take 100 sheets of paper and then measure their thickness. Then the thickness value can be divided by 100, and that will give you the thickness of one sheet of paper. Now this helps us to get more accurate results, accurate values. It can also be used for a pendulum. So when you have to measure the time taken for one swing of a pendulum, as it takes a very less time, it can be very tough to get the time taken. So you can measure the time taken for 10 swings and then divide that time by 10, which will give the time taken for one swing. Now next. Scalar and vector quantity. Scalar quantity has magnitude only. Magnitude is basically the size. It can be the size of the force, the speed of an object, that way. And vector quantity has magnitude and direction, which means you need to tell the number as well as in which direction is it acting. Example, the force. So you need to tell whether the force is acting forward, backward, downwards, upwards, and you need to tell the size of the force. Is it 25 Newton, 50 Newton, what's the size of the force? So when you tell both of these quantities, it's a vector quantity, and when you only tell the size, it's a scalar quantity. The next one. Examples of scalar and vector quantities. Scalar quantities include distance, speed, time, mass, energy, and temperature. As you can notice in this, we don't tell the direction. We don't tell what the time is in this direction. We just tell the time. We don't say that it's 25 degrees Celsius towards the right. No, we just say it's 25 degrees Celsius. Vector quantities include force, weight, velocity, acceleration, electric field strength, and gravitational field strength. So when you are telling velocity, you need to tell the size as well as the direction. Same goes for force, weight. You know the weight acts downwards. So weight, how much is the weight of a person? Let's say 50 newtons, and it's acting downwards. So we are telling both, so it's vector quantity. Finding resultant vector. So we can find resultant vector in two ways. One is calculation method and one is graphical method. So for the calculation method, we need to we can use the Pythagoras theorem, which is a square plus b square is equal to c square. That's hypotenuse square is equal to base square plus height square. So in this example, you can see that it is one force is 4 and the other one is 8. So when we do 4 square plus 8 square, we get it 80, and when we do the root of 80 we get around 8.9, so the resultant vector becomes 8.9. Next. Then finding resultant vector graphically. These steps can be followed to find resultant vector graphically, and it can be asked in the IGCSE exam for 3 to 4 marks, in which you may have to tell the direction of the resultant vector, the magnitude of the resultant vector, as well as you need to draw the diagram. So first of all, what you need to do, you need to draw an arrow which represents the first vector. Then we need to draw at the start of at the head of the first vector, we need to draw the other arrow which represents the second vector. And the resultant vector can be found by drawing an arrow from the tail of the first vector to the tip of the second vector. And then you can find the size of the resultant vector by just measuring the length, and in this you also may have to tell the scale you are taking, which can be like you are taking 2 centimeter as 1 Newton or 1 Newton as 1 centimeter itself. So that scale can also be asked in the exam. And thanks for watching. That's it, and see you in the next video. Bye guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.